Well, a very good morning and welcome to the second day of the trip along the south coast of Iceland. I spent last night and was hoping to visit this morning the canyon. I think it's pronounced Fjorda or something similar to that. It's a very beautiful canyon, and unfortunately I made a call around 7 o'clock this morning when it started snowing heavily and was on a kind of a dirt track. So I said I'll move on up the road towards Scaffatel. And I've just pulled in off the side of the road now, and I found a nice little composition, an intimate landscape as such, and I'll show you that now. So basically it's very, very simple. It's basically a little, I'm not sure what species of bush or tree it is, and it's sitting nicely in the fresh dusting of snow. With the wonderful glacier. You'll see the glacier is actually here. One of the tongues of the Vatnajökull glacier is there, and that's actually Scaffatel over there, which is the national park as such, covering the wider area. But the composition here, I'm not sure now whether the actual mountains are too distant. I've got a landscape shot as such in the back of the camera at the moment, and it's not quite working for me. It's a little bit too flat. Well, unfortunately that composition, it just didn't work, and even though I gave it a good half hour at the location, having the combination of the bush and the fresh snow with the distant mountains, they just didn't come together. They didn't work together. And I walked 300 or 400 yards closer to the glacier and found a much more pleasing bush with regards to the shape of it and how it sat on a little mound, and I took a photograph of that and I separated it out from the mountains. So it's a very minimalist shot, but I'm really pleased with the way it worked out, particularly with the little crest or mound that it sits on, and the subtle difference between the luminosity of the foreground and that of the sky and the background. So that's this image that you're looking at now. It's a beautiful walk, and I'm glad I came here. It's a beautiful waterfall. I was struggling for 5 or 10 minutes just to find a composition, and it's just as well I brought my Wellingtons with me, and they're these Arctic ones, so there was no problem getting into the stream here. It was actually quite toasty when I did so, and I found a beautiful piece of a rock, and let me just show you the piece of rock, because I've removed the camera from the stream at this stage for safety reasons, my safety. So the piece of rock here is this fella here. So in the centre of the stream there. So I got right up close to this fella here, and it consumed the whole lower 2/3 of the frame, with the waterfall in the upper third. Well, I've moved along the coast now, and after stopping in Scaffatel and seeing the wonderful Svartifoss waterfall, it's about an hour's drive or so from there to this place, and I'm actually I feel like whispering here because the sense of peace and solitude and sheer and utter beauty is overwhelming. And the sound here are just the clinking of the ice. We have pieces of ice such as this, which is washed ashore, and just look at the translucency of it and the shape of it and the beauty of it. And then we have other pieces of ice which are all slowly moving around. So there's movement everywhere, and you hear the clink of that movement in the lagoon. I've stopped at the first car park here, the smallest one, so I have the place to myself. It's about an hour to sunset. What I was hoping for is one thing that struck me when I came down here is quite a large iceberg. There's so many of them here that it's very hard to pick out one, but you can see this one here in my picture, and it's an enormous iceberg that's sitting out and standing out in the middle of the lagoon here. When I arrived, a little bit of soft light hit it, and it was magic. And I've been waiting the last 15 minutes and we've had no soft light. You can see the light's lovely in the sky above it, but what I'd like is the actual the light just to hit the side of here. So I've taken out my longest lens, apart from my wildlife lenses, which is a Zeiss APO Sonar 135mm lens, beautiful lens, old manual focus, and I really have, I'm trying to get a little iceberg in the middle there in focus, as well as, actually, sorry, I've been fooling myself all along. I'm moving up and down the lakeshore here, trying to get an iceberg in the middle of that, centered in the middle of it. And I'm moving up and down, I say, there's something wrong with it, you know, the damn thing is moving, you know, and I'm just, that's tiredness for you. So there it is. That's a lesson learned on camera. I've been caught out there, but it's up to me to put the video up, so I might cut this piece, I might not. And that's really it. So I have the photograph of the little iceberg at the bottom, and or in the foreground as such, and then the large iceberg and the beautiful glacier behind it and the mountains behind that again. So.